So, I'm Cynthia, and I'm the host of the reality series CPS The Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker, but my kids were kidnapped by CPS a few years ago. I had to fight for 2 years to get them back. I did get them back, obviously, but we still struggle and suffer from all of the traumatic events that happened during the time that they were kidnapped. I now have this platform to help parents get their story out and expose CPS for who they really are. So, Angel, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Angel. Going through the exact same thing that a lot of mothers are going through. Um, just trying to get my children back. I'm being lied to. I'm being lied about. I'm being blown off. I'm not being told, you know, um, I'm being told a million different things, a million different ways. I have a never ending, that's what I like to call it, a never ending case plan.
Yeah.
That no matter what you do, you're never finished. Um, so yeah, I
How
mean,
many things have you done on your case plan so far?
um, let me bring it up really quick. Basically everything, but now, lately, which I'm not even receiving information from my caseworker. I had to call her supervisor for her supervisor to tell me certain things. In the beginning, over a year ago, they told me that I'm pretty sure I took a psychological exam and a parental fitness. But now I'm being told I never took a psychological, and from the psychological we'll get more recommendations, which will in turn become more never-ending stuff for my never-ending case plan. I finished stable living, stable income. I did my parental courses. Just recently, I was notified by my caseworker who's been promising ICPC to me, to my state, for the last 5 months. From September 2019 to April 2020, Georgia offered me, like their version of therapy or whatever. And because of COVID, they cut me off, but they never told me to get back into therapy. Just recently, my caseworker, after 5 months of no therapy, has told me I'm not done with therapy yet. So I
And
asked her, what's your
how long
definition?
have you been in therapy?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
You said that they said you're not done with it. How long have you been in therapy?
I did therapy September 2019 to April 2020.
And they said you're still not done?
Yeah, they said I'm still not done. I'm getting different answers. The caseworker told me until she gets something from my therapist that says that, quote unquote, my therapist has to send them something that says, I believe she can have her children back. Well, the problem with that is therapists don't do that. They don't give opinions. They only talk about their client. Like, my client seems happy. My client seems mentally stable. They don't say, I believe my client should have her children back. So that's one thing I'm having a problem with. So I called her supervisor because I just felt like she wasn't helping me. And her supervisor, that's when her supervisor brought up the psychological exam. So then I said, well, why has no one told me about the psychological exam in over a year since I've been working my case plan? Oh, I have no idea why or what happened or why no one did it. Mind you, my caseworker has been working with me since day one. Um,
Now, how many kids again do you have, and how old are they?
I have two children in defects care. It's she's 7 and 5, a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay. And were you in the system as a child?
No, never been in the system.
How long has your case been open?
It's been open since September 2019.
Okay. Why did it get open? What were the allegations and who made them?
So I was never completely sure what my allegations were, as my lawyer just didn't tell me anything. He just acted like he fought in court and then said, sign this document, you'll get your children back in 3 months. Me sobbing, crying all over the place. DFACS telling me I'll never see my children again without signing this document. So I did. I signed the case plan. I think, I want to say one of the words was abandonment. I think that's what I was charged with. But when I looked up the legal definition of abandonment, that's 2 years no contact. They took my children from a trusted babysitter's home and never contacted me, not one time.
I don't understand. So okay. One day you're at work and they just...
Right. So this is what, from beginning, this is what happened. I met this family, this babysitter. I knew them for an entire year. She was like the neighborhood babysitter. Everyone referred to her. Everyone brought their children to her. There was never a problem. I never seen this lady yell. I never seen this lady raise her hand at anyone, excuse me.
How old is she?
She's an older lady. I think she was in her 60s. Very nice lady. I mean, her entire family was nice. So basically, I was back and forth. We're originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I was back and forth to Atlanta to work. So what I do is I'll do wholesale. I'll go to an independent phone store and I'll say, hey, I could sell you 1,000 of these same phone cases for a lot cheaper than what you're buying them for. They'll say, okay, perfect. So on and so forth. So I was doing a lot of business in Atlanta at that time. So I figured, okay, hey, she said she was a retired school teacher and my children, I felt like, needed tutoring because the New Orleans school system was that bad. It's still bad, still horrible. So I'm like, okay, I'm mostly in Atlanta. I want my children with me. Why, okay, this seems like a great deal. I paid her a $5,000 flat fee up front. She helped me to get my children into a very good school. She helped me to get my 5-year-old into a daycare. So fast forward, this was in August of last year. So they were taking in September. So fast forward, they're doing very well. I'm there, obviously. And what happened was my brother died. So I had to go back to New Orleans, and he didn't just die. He died in a third world country. So he died where originally my parent is from. So I had to go to New Orleans because that's where our entire family is. And I asked the babysitter, I said, hey, do you mind keeping them with you until, I'm done burying my brother? Because at that time they were still going to school. So she was like, of course, I'll help any way that I can. So I had left and I was trying to contact her for 4 days straight. I did contact her. She did contact me back through text message though. So I was trying to call my children and talk to them. Like if I ever did leave, that's how I would do it. I would FaceTime them. They had their own iPads, but their iPads weren't working. So I was calling her. She would reply like, oh, we're at the store. We'll give you a call back. Or, oh, I'm helping them with schoolwork. I'll give you a call back. Okay, that's fine. On the third day, she told me that she asked for her paycheck. So not only did I pay her a $5,000 flat fee to help me with everything and to tutor my children and to watch my children if needed to be, I was still giving her money because I left. I physically left. So I said, yeah, I'll send you your money. But can I talk to my children? Like I've been busy burying my dead brother. I would like to speak to my children. And she's like, oh yeah, no problem. Let me know when you send the money. And then I'll give you a call later. You can talk to your children. Well, that never came. And on the 4th day, I got a call from the babysitter's granddaughter that I also knew. She said, Angel, I'm so sorry. My grandmother told all of us to not tell you and not to say anything, but your children were taken into DFACS care 4 days ago, like 3 days ago. Yes. So what it was DFACS came to my babysitter's home, which was an emergency. Like her name and everything was all on, you know, the daycare and stuff like that, because the daycare was up the street from her house. So they went to the babysitter's home. They took my children. No one ever contacted me. When I called DFACS, they said that the babysitter said that I was in prison. So I said, does it sound like I'm in prison? I'm calling you. Did you have to do a collect toll when I called you? Or so she said, I said, couldn't you have found out I wasn't in prison through searching through the prison system? And she's like, well, the babysitter told us you were in prison, dropped your children off, and you never seen them again. So I showed them photos of me just being there, like literally 4 days beforehand.
Who are you showing the photos to?
I showed it was the investigator that I contacted first.
Okay.
So she was like, okay, bring all of that to court, so on and so forth. So I did. The attorney laid me out. She said I abandoned them. But before all that, that's when it clicked in my head that she wanted her paycheck. That's why she didn't tell me. She wanted her money, because why would you ask me for your money when my children aren't in your care? So that's when it all clicked in my brain. And the bruising on my 5-year-old was horrific. I mean, from her neck to her butt, this lady beat my child. And like I said, I really didn't see it coming at all. So that happened. And I get there and the attorney's like, oh, I show them the photos. I show them the text message. The attorney tells the judge, those could be photoshopped. So my attorney didn't really do what I expected him to do. I mean, I expected him to really fight and say, you know, like really drill. They put the babysitter up there. The babysitter lied her ass off. I showed them that I sent her $5,000. I showed them the communication with her. I showed them photos of me and my children, and they said I photoshopped everything. I don't even know how to work a computer. Okay, so they have refused to release my children. They have refused to release them to family members. My caseworker has specifically told me she's not going to try to do an ICPC to any of my family. Not even try. Because she believes they wouldn't be the right fit, I guess. I mean, I don't know what her reasoning is.
Where are you located?
Right now I'm in Florida.
And that's where the kids are too? The case is there?
No, the case is actually in a county in Georgia. That one was where 800 DFACS employees were recently disciplined, and they found all those trafficked children in the same exact county. And yeah, I mean, it's been a year of hell, you know, several red flags with it. You know, my children have been abused in 2 different foster homes now. The second one I thought was better, but they said that basically the foster dad is very mean to them. So me, that's a sign of emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And the first one was just horrible, physical and emotional. And, you know, my children, even in front of the caseworker, has told the caseworker that the foster home is so bad, they'd rather go stay back with the babysitter. And the DFACS caseworker started laughing like it was a joke. And it took them, after finding out the abuse, it took them months to get them into the second foster home. And now the second foster home is showing problems. My children weren't failing school. My 7-year-old did not ever get diagnosed with any mental problems. They never had dental problems going into foster care. My children were very well-mannered, smart, and put together. Now, the DFACS caseworker has referred to my children as animals. She has threatened to put my 7-year-old in a mental hospital. they're saying that my children display sexual behaviors now, and the worst part is they say it's all my fault when I haven't had them for over a year. They say, most recently in August, both children, they didn't just go and get surgery for one crown for their teeth. My 5-year-old got 3 crowns. She was put to sleep and got 3 crowns at the same time.
Were you able to be there?
No, they didn't even tell me when, where, what, who, what. They didn't give me a choice to say yes or no. My caseworker makes sure to tell me every time I call her I have 0 rights.
Have they terminated your parental rights?
Nope.
You have rights.
Well, apparently I can't say no to surgery, to putting my 5-year-old to sleep for 3 crowns. They didn't invite me to show up. They made their own choice to do it. Oh, same thing for my 7-year-old too, though. She had multiple crowns put in her mouth. But when my children went into care, magically my 7-year-old's ADHD, they want to put her on ADHD medication now. So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot. They went from very sweet to just a bundle of nerves, unruly. You know, when they're with me, I really don't have a problem. But when they're with the foster parent, they're displaying sexual behaviors. She's ADHD. They're failing school, and all of these horrible things. You know. But my child, it's my 7-year-old. She's never been diagnosed with anything. She's 7. You know, she's never failed school. She's never had problems in school. She's never had to be disciplined in school. Now she's failing school. She's getting kicked out of school. She ran away from the foster home. She packed a bag and ran out the front door.
The 7-year-old did?
The 7-year-old did. It's very unfortunate. You know, I'm not getting any answers. Whenever I ask for answers, I'm bombarded with more things that I have to do that was never a part of, when I went to therapy and they waited 5 months to tell me I was never finished and I needed to get back into it. Or that I needed to do a psychological exam, but no one ever said I needed to do a psychological exam until a year later. So I'm trying to get help from other people to see what I could do. I mean, they have just destroyed. It's not even about me at this point. They have destroyed my 2 little girls. They are empty. I mean, it's the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. What my girls are going through, you know? Oh, yeah. And I don't know, it's just story after story. I had to call the supervisor for her to tell me I never did a psychological exam. My caseworker hasn't told me anything about it. And I could have swore I did it in the beginning. That's the whole reason they told me to get into therapy and everything. But apparently I never did it. I'm scheduled to do it soon, after an entire year. Just received my case plan. Just received a copy of my case plan after an entire year of asking for it. So I guess that's an accomplishment.
And you have a court-appointed attorney, correct?
Now I do. I can't afford another attorney, unfortunately. Like I said, the first one ran off with my life savings. Didn't help at all. I'm trying to see what I could do. Like, I'm trying to report him to the bar association and stuff like that, because I feel like he could have did a lot more. Maybe file for instant reunification on the grounds that legally they can't say I abandoned my children based upon the evidence that I entered. I mean, how can you say I abandoned someone which the legal definition is 2 years of no contact.
How long were you gone?
I was gone 4 days. They were taken within those 4 days. Yep. Within 4 days.
Will you shut the door, please? Because that music is loud. I still don't understand why you paid her all that money. That was a lot of money.
Well, in the beginning, he told me that he believes he could get him back because of the evidence.
The attorney.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought you paid the babysitter a bunch of money.
Oh, I paid the babysitter. Okay, so basically it was the fees of her helping me with everything and continually basically babysitting them whenever I needed to. So I basically paid her in advance. So I paid her for the tutoring and the babysitting in advance. I paid her for helping pick up my kids from school if needed to be. She was basically like a nanny.
Yeah, so how long was that $5,000 supposed to last?
We said that will last until August, September, October, November, December, 5 months. So until December, we was gonna use that to last. But I still, because she was helping me, and I really was so thankful to this lady because I'm a single mother. I never received help from either father. You know, I was so thankful to this lady for helping that I was okay with it. I showed them proof that I sent the 5,000.
Yeah.
They said it was Photoshop. Yeah. Bank records. They said it was Photoshop.
Some of the stuff that they come up with is so bizarre, don't you agree?
I 100% agree. I feel like, now, don't get me wrong. I understand their side of it. Like, we just showed up and this lady said the mom was in prison, dropped the children off, never seen them again. Right. But if I'm showing up, does it look like I'm in prison? Does it look like anything she says can hold up in court? They still put this lady on the stand. And to save her ass, to make it look like she was angelic and she changed her story. First she said I was in prison. Now she's saying she never said that. And that I just dropped my children off and had no contact. So then that's when I said, well, here's all the text messages. Here's all the photos. How did I have no contact? So for me, she got up there and lied to try to save her ass of beating my child. So she does have a warrant for her arrest. I did continue to press charges. She has a warrant for her arrest now, but she has not been taken in to start her case. And that's after a year.
So, hold on, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's very,
yeah. Is she the one that called CPS?
No, so I had my child in a daycare. The daycare was the one that called CPS.
Why did they call CPS?
Because my daughter had bruises on her. About a day or two after I left. Yep.
Where were the bruises?
From the top of her neck to her butt. It looked like belt marks. Yeah. It looked like belt marks. It was very bad. Very bad. But I didn't do it. I mean, there's millions of single mothers every day who put their children with a trusted babysitter, and their children, there's babysitters that rape babies and they don't take the babies from the mother. So I don't understand, why was my children taken? Why did they not try to find me? Why did they not try to contact me? I can't wrap my head around it. They didn't contact me.
Why, if you're paying her, why were they going to a daycare?
I'm sorry, what?
Why were they going to daycare if you were paying her to take care of them?
Oh, that was basically, that daycare money came out of the money as well. The 5,000.
Okay, but why wasn't, I don't understand why they were going to daycare too.
Well, because I wanted them to go to daycare. I believe in learning. I believe in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more like a preschool type thing.
Oh yeah, it was more like preschool. Yes, for my she was 4 at the time. So yes, it was preschool for her.
Stop doing that noise.
Yes, and I also wanted accountability.
What?
Because I was afraid that if she was just stuck at home with her all the time, I won't know what's going on.
Right.
So
no,
that was all.
It was a good choice.
Right. So I am thankful that yes, the daycare stepped in and notified DFACS and let them know, because I would have never known otherwise.
So it was the 4-year-old that had the bruises on her.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Not that it
But no one
mattered.
contacted. No one contacted at all. I didn't even know I was under CPS investigation. No one said anything. I believe that if she would have just put her pride to the side and didn't want any more money, that if she would have told them, hey, I'm the babysitter, here's the mother's phone number, you're going to want to call her, I believe I would have my children right now. Personally.
Had you met the daycare people?
Yeah, I met them. They even came to court. The director.
And they knew that you weren't in jail, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, but DFACS could have easily went into prison system records and seen I wasn't in prison.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot to this story that could have been done.
Yeah, it doesn't, I'm still at a shock. Like, this doesn't make sense. Why did no one contact me? I'm the mother. They just swooped into the babysitter's home, took the children, and was gone. And that's it.
So, where did you say where the dad was?
Both dad, well, one dad just got out of prison. He's been in prison for 5 years. That's the second child. He's been in prison for 5 years. They just let him out. Apparently his mother, very funny actually, and I feel very disrespected, but his mother brought him along without telling anybody. He got out of prison for shooting someone with domestic violence against me. And he shows up with some crackhead looking, I'm sorry, excuse my language. He shows up with another woman that looks very sketchy. Where we're from, I wouldn't doubt she was on drugs. I mean, that's just nothing against it, but I mean, you brought this. First of all, my daughter doesn't even know you. The grandmother brings her without telling the therapist or the caseworker. He's supposed to go through motions like everyone else did for them to deem that, okay, you're safe to be around your child. They just showed up with him and some random lady. So my daughter met her father without me there, without comfort. They allowed it. So I'm really disappointed in that. The other father has been in his child's life, but I mean, he's never helped me financially, anything like that. So, my entire family doesn't know like why they're doing this or what's going on. My children, they're very beautiful. I mean, blue eyes, curly brown hair, you know. I mean, the perfect adoptees. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would be adopted out in a heartbeat if that's what DFACS's aim is. Which seems like it, right? Because why else would my kids not be home? This is their room. I mean, this is all their stuff. If I abandon my children, why do I have everything? I don't understand, you know? Why do I have drawers full of clothes that's their exact size right now? Like, and they're not new, you know? These were bought before they were taken into care. So,
It's a beautiful room.
thank you. Thank you. They love all that stuff, you know. They love butterflies and unicorns and stuff like that.
Somebody asked, did you ever talk to the babysitter personally to ask why?
Yeah. She never answered my calls, not one time. Ever. Ever again. The granddaughters, they all blocked me on social media. I don't know why. For me, I think it's because she wanted to seem like she was so good and taking care of my children, and it was for the better. Because, like, think about it, if you're beating a child, you want to try to make yourself look as good as possible. You know what I'm saying? But she has been a warrant was put out a few months ago, the detective said. So she is going to get her day in court, and I will be there. I will be there. And I'm going to take the stand just as she took the stand for me.
Your case makes me so angry. Like,
yeah, I feel like they should be back with me already. I feel like you guys have done everything. DFAX has done everything they needed to do. And, you know, my caseworker promised me an ICPC to my state like months ago. And she's just, she's telling me a different story every time I call. The first time I called, she said that she turned in the ICPC. The second time I called, she said she didn't turn in the ICPC. The third time I called, she said she turned it in, but they haven't gotten back to her. The fourth time I called, she said that ICPC requested some documents. Okay, that's all fine. And then she called me out of the blue and said, you never finished therapy. You have to get back into therapy if you want me to continue with the ICPC. I get back into therapy. I call her. I said, hey, I'm in therapy. What's going on with ICPC? Oh, you have to wait at least 2 months for me to get some type of review from the therapist. I said, okay, what are you looking for exactly? I'm looking for your therapist to tell me that she believes the children could come home with you. So I call my therapist. I'm like, are you legally allowed to say that you believe the children should come back home? She said, no therapist can do that. Therapists can only talk about the client and say, oh, the client's mentally stable, the client seems happy, the client seems put together, things of that nature. So then I call the supervisor. I'm like, what is going on? And what do I have to do to get my children back? I started recording them because of the simple fact. I didn't know. I had no clue about my rights. I didn't know I should have been recording the entire time. So I started recording them. The supervisor tells me that the only way to get my children back is if my therapist discharges me and says, I don't need therapy anymore. What person on this planet with a perfect life doesn't need therapy? And with the things that I'm going through, why would I be discharged from therapy? I need it. I need someone to talk to and say, hey,
yeah,
what I'm going through is horrible. So I'm getting different stories. Luckily, I recorded that. So I asked, why wasn't my psychological exam done a year ago? So they basically told me I need to do a psychological exam so they could recommend more services. Why wasn't this done a year ago? Why are you trying to recommend more services for me when I sat here and I've done the services for a year straight? So I did my parental courses. I finished it. My caseworker says she doesn't like it. She didn't like how I did it. I got a certificate. It was it's because of COVID. Everything's online. I read 120 pages of a book that's like this long, like on your phone. You could it's a parental courses online that's certified by courts. You have to scroll 20 times to get to the end. I read 120 pages of that. I know parental inside and out at this point. I got my certificate. She said she didn't like that. She said she doesn't like it. So I'm wondering, does she want me to do another one? Like, what do you mean you don't like that I did that specific parental course? What parental course do you want me to do? She told me to get into family counseling, right?
Yeah.
Well, the trick with family counseling is you actually have to have a family to counsel. I tried to contact several therapists. They said, well, do you have the girls in your custody? I said, no. They said, well, we can't offer you family counseling. How can we offer family counseling if your family isn't with you? So I told her that, but she never told me a way to get around that or who to call or who to contact. I've had 3 therapists in the last year. The first one was very unstable. She would call me crying. The second one,
Wait, your therapist called you crying?
My therapist would call me crying.
About what?
Like when I was flying back and forth every week to see my children in Georgia. Flying, paying for hotels, paying for food. I'm feeding the therapist. I'm feeding my children. I'm feeding me. I'm at the hotel. You know, I did this for every week until I ran out of money. Then I came every 2 weeks. I took out credit cards to see my children. I took out bank loans to see my children.
So was she crying to you about your life or about her own life?
I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. She was crying about her life, calling me because she couldn't bring the children to see me because of what she's going through in her personal life. So I would fly there, get a hotel, and she'd call me and say, I'm so sorry. I'm going through it right now. I can't bring the children to see you.
And who was that?
That was the first therapist.
Why was she bringing the kids to see you?
Because I thought that's what happened. The therapist bring the kids. I don't know what's going on. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Bring them for a visit?
Yeah. And she'd be like the family counseling, parental aid type of deal. I haven't had one alone time with my children yet. And right now, the foster parents are coaching my children during Zoom calls.
Yeah?
Yeah, my 7-year-old during a Zoom call told me that her foster parent is very mean, very, very mean. And the foster mom was right next to her like, no, he's not. No, he's not. Ma'am, that's coaching. You don't say to a child who's saying, this person is very mean to me, they know the difference. You don't sit there and coach them to say, oh, that's not being mean. My daughter was thirsty and they refused to give her something to drink. That's why she was crying. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting like angry.
Oh yeah, I would be too.
It's like, you know, my caseworker makes me feel crazy. She tries to say I need more therapy, but it's like, ma'am, she tries to use my brother's death against me. She tries to use my mother's death against me, like, you need help and stuff like. It doesn't matter if I needed help or not. I'm mentally stable to take care of my children. I've been mentally stable the entire time. Just because someone died, do you not know anyone who's died?
Right.
Why are you acting like that's something that will keep your children from you? So, I mean, I'm just at a loss. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to make noise, you know, because this, like I said, this same county is the same county that had 800 DFACS workers disciplined. And they're the same county that found those 40 children that was being sex trafficked. That were, some of them came from foster homes. So, and you know, when I told her about this, she was like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. None of those children were even your children's age. But what I read was the youngest child was 3 years old. And I mean, with all this nasty stuff going on, I mean, my children are the perfect victims, unfortunately. Unfortunately. You know, now they're having several health problems. Mysteriously, they're all sick and dental care is messed up and they're mentally just just a bunch of stuff. Just a bunch of stuff. I don't know what else to do. Every time I try to raise my voice with them or try to say like what is going on, it's like I make them angry and they wait to tell me stuff. They waited an entire year to tell me I needed a psychological exam. Why? I call you like every day. Why have you not told me I need a psychological exam? I called you every day for those 5 months. Why did you not tell me I need to get back into therapy?
Right.
Why does it take me calling your supervisor to find out I need to do something? And even then, the supervisor, I spoke to the supervisor numerous times. She could have told me numerous times what I have to do. So besides the psychological exam and this so-called therapy I never finished, that's the only things I need to do.
As of right now.
As of right now. Until they come up with some random recommendations from this psychological exam they should have did a year ago. And my lawyer, she's making me mad because like, it's like, lady, you've been having this case for months. She said that she's gonna ask for a discovery. Why haven't you asked for the discovery since you got on the case months ago? Why? I haven't had a court date for like 6 months now. And legally, I'm supposed to have a court date every 6 months, which is, I just found that out. But I haven't had a court date since before June.
And you've never had an unsupervised visit, right?
Never had an unsupervised visit. Never.
And how often are you seeing the girls?
At first, I was flying in every week. Then I wasn't making enough. I was flying in every 2 weeks. Then they cut off all physical contact. So I was doing Zoom twice a week for 1 hour. After my kids started telling me they're going to school and they're going swimming, that's when I started, like calling my caseworker, like, if y'all are allowing them to go to school, if y'all are allowing them to go swimming, why can't I see them physically? What's going on? And so then I guess she felt pressure because I was calling like all the time to see when can I see them physically. So she started letting me see them physically since like 2 months ago. And I see them, so that means that 3 weeks out of the month, I see them on a computer screen twice a week for 1 hour. And 1 week out of the month, I'll see them for 3 days straight for a 4-hour visit. Actually, they've been cutting it short for a 3-hour visit. For a 3-hour visit for 3 days in a row. Yeah. So, I mean, I asked them, do you guys want me to move to Georgia? Will I get my kids back? They said, no, you don't have to move to Georgia. Now they're telling me you would have gotten back faster if you moved to Georgia.
And can you tell me why is the case in a different place than where you live?
Because during COVID, I have a fiance here.
In Florida.
I was doing business here as well. So I was doing, like, technically in a triangle, right? I was doing business in New Orleans, Atlanta, Florida, right?
Okay.
So, but that's not why I moved here. New Orleans is very bad. My next door neighbor during COVID was robbed and shot. Yeah, while I was at my house. And New Orleans is not a nice place. Anybody from New Orleans could tell you. It is one of the most scariest, hardest places ever. I've watched a man die getting trampled on by his own boots. Okay? It is not a nice place. People get robbed. I've gotten robbed by gunpoint multiple times. Just walking down the street. Not even. I've gotten robbed sitting in my car. So it's not a nice place. Here in Florida, the school systems are way better. A lot of my business was here too. So, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. I needed more money to see my children. Banks didn't want to loan me anymore. Credit cards didn't want to make a higher credit. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move. And I moved. And ever since over here, I haven't had any problems. I'm not scared for my life. I'm not scared that I'm going to get out and go walk into Walmart and somebody's going to kidnap me. You know, New Orleans, it was just, it was horrible. I went through Hurricane Katrina. I'm definitely afraid of hurricanes. That's another reason why I left.
How long have you been engaged to this man?
For a long time, for years.
So he knows the girls.
Oh yeah, the girls love him. I mean, he's been, and I want to say that unfortunately, all in all, I mean, yes, the 7-year-old's father has been there like a weekend here and there, but they love him. I mean, he raised his nephews and his nieces and stuff, so he's always been very good with children. But I mean, he's been there for my 5-year-old, like a father figure. And, you know, they always ask me, where is he? Where's Mr. So-and-so, you know? So, but, you know, I've never left my children with him though, because I don't do that. So, yeah, so he's been around. They know him, they love him. But, you know, they told me they have to do a background check. That's fine. He's a realtor. So I have literally nothing. I don't really care nothing about that. So, they want to do a background check, drug screen. That's fine. I don't do drugs. He doesn't do drugs. So that's all fine with me. But, yeah, I mean, it's very alarming, you know. And they make it very hard on me. I don't know why or what. I asked them, what's the problem? And why are you guys doing this? And they're just like, oh, you just got to follow the case plan. And every case is different, you know. And my caseworker says she's never had a case where the parents were out of state. So, but that shouldn't matter. They could have transferred this case from the beginning. Since, why wouldn't you? All the parents and all the family are in a different state. Why wouldn't you transfer it? Why wouldn't you?
When they were taken, were you living there in Georgia at that time?
I had my house in New Orleans, but I was in Georgia for most of the time.
Okay.
Especially because they were going to school. I was with them. She had a huge house. The nanny, huge house. She had several bedrooms. So I was there starting school in August. It was like they started school at like August something, like August 16th or something. And I was there. I never left them physically there without me the entire time until I went to bury my brother. I was picking my child up from school. She was on a school bus. So I'd go, walk down the street, pick up my child, everything's fine. We'd go back to New Orleans to our house. We'd be there with family during like a weekend or something. Everything was fine. They were doing very well in school. I was very happy with the results I was getting, you know. So I mean, this lady was like family to us, you know?
Yeah.
I had no help whatsoever. This lady was like family to us. And I was just in such shock that she did something like that. And I never seen this, like I said, I never seen this lady raise her voice not one time. Never seen this lady raise her hand not one time. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. You know, and she'd have other children there that she babysat 24/7, you know. They never complained. My children, as a mother, hey, has anyone touched your private area? Has anyone touched you? Has anyone been mean to you? No. Their answers were always no. If I wasn't there, it's because I went to a grocery store to go shopping for them. So, or I took my children with me. You know, it was just I don't understand why. Okay, yeah, you guys are saying all this, but it's been a year now. So what is your reason now? What is your reasoning now to keep them?
That was like my case. They kept just trying and trying and trying. And I really believe it's because when they start, if they're in the wrong in the first place, which they were for me, and it sounds like they are for you, then they have to keep going to find another reason to eventually find something wrong to be the reason why they have your kids.
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel like. I feel like I've done everything these people have asked for and more. You know, I've my caseworker, you know, not knowing any of these things, I told them everything. I told them my entire childhood, and they used it against me. Not understanding that, you know, unfortunately in my childhood, I should have been taken by defects. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It's just my mother was, she worked a lot. So I didn't get as much attention from her. Not saying that should be a reason why I should go to defects, but and seeing what it's done to my children, I would never wish it upon anybody else. Like, I believe that they should try to put things in place to help the parent before they take the child.
Agreed, 100%.
So now I have trust issues. Now I have like problems. Like I can never see myself dealing with another babysitter again. If I already told my caseworker, she's like, well, on your case plan, you have to identify a secondary caretaker. I don't have a secondary caretaker. I'm not going to put it on my fiance to take care of my children, because that's just how deep this trust had. That's how deep my trust was broken. Because it's one thing for you to beat my child, but to get up on that stand and try to make me look like the worst mother in the world when you know you beat my child. Like, what are you trying to do, lady? Try to make it okay that you beat my child by saying, oh, she never paid me. Then I showed them, oh, I did pay her. Oh, she never contacted me. Then I showed them, oh, I did contact her. Oh, she was never there. Then I showed photos of me inside of her house. How was I never there? Oh, ma'am, that's all Photoshop. That's all Photoshop. That's what the attorney said to the judge.
How could that? It's so annoying. Okay, let's just say it was photoshopped. Wouldn't you have had to be there to take the photos to Photoshop you in?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm at a loss for words. They treat them exactly what they called them, animals. The caseworker called my children animals. And I wish to God I knew that I should be recording, because when she said that, I was like, are you kidding me? You just called my children animals?
Can you state the statement that she said when she said that?
She was telling me basically how my child's especially the 7-year-old doing tantrums, fighting. She's fighting teachers. My child told me that the teacher held her on the ground and put her down, like held her arms behind her back. Now, they said she was lying. They said my 7-year-old, I don't think a 7-year-old's good. She got into the position. She said, Mom, they held me like this and put me on the ground like this because she didn't want to get it on the bus to go back to the foster home. So that caused my caseworker to call me and say, hey, you need to talk to your daughter. They're acting like animals, and I'm about to put her in the hospital, the mental hospital. So I said, well, what's the problem? She said that it took like 3 teachers to hold down a 7-year-old.
So they did admit that it happened.
Yeah.
But then
my daughter showed the caseworker how it was done, and my caseworker said she was lying. And they said, well, why didn't you want to get on the bus? She didn't want to go back to the foster home. So even after the abuse was, even after the kids said everything about the abuse, they still didn't remove them from the home. And now, unfortunately, my last Zoom call with my child, she said that her foster parents being very mean to them. And then that's when the other foster parent was coaching, like, oh no, he's not mean. He just doesn't want you guys to drink anything right now. Why? My 5-year-old's thirsty. She wants something to drink. Why can't she have anything to drink? I'm not comprehending what's going on. So now I feel like they've been coaching my children. Because if a child expresses that someone is mean to them, you don't say, oh, no, he's not. You don't do that. You know, so now I'm waiting to see them physically so I could talk to them without the foster parents. Because for some reason, she just has to be there every single time I'm talking to my children. And, you know, my daughter, my 7-year-old, she said, Mommy, can I type something to you? And as soon as she said that, the foster mom comes running to see what she's typing. She's looking, she's like looking at the screen to see what she's typing. My daughter typed something to me. She said, let me get it up for you. My daughter typed to me on Zoom. Where is it? She said, I have been thinking about you, Mommy, so I just want to come home. But I just want to come home. Really, Mommy, really, Mommy. I just want to come home. I miss you, and I will always miss you forever. I will always have the teddy bear, and I will always have you forever. In Jesus' name, amen. They're taking my children to church. I don't believe in church. I do believe in God, whatever you want to call it. I don't believe in church. They're taking them to church. No one ever asked me if I'm okay with that. They put them to sleep for surgery. No one ever asked me if I'm okay with that. They want to put them on ADHD medication. No one ever asked me if I'm okay with that. I read somewhere that I have a right to say no to these things and they not to happen, but they happen anyway.
You do have a right.
Well, they tell my caseworker, make sure every time I call her, she tells me you have no right, and I'm the mother here, and whatever I say goes every time.
The caseworker says she's the mother?
Yeah, she says she's the mother. That's her exact words every time. Every time I have a problem with something like putting my 5-year-old to sleep to throw 3 crowns in her mouth at the same time. Oh, I'm the mother for now. You have no rights. Whatever I say goes. That's her exact words every single time I have an objection to something. No one ever asked me, can we take your child to church? I don't want them to go to church. But whatever I say, it doesn't matter. That's what my caseworker says. Very stressful.
Yeah. And angering.
Right. Yeah, you know, and I've heard this grown man yell at them. I've heard it before. I know when I get on Zoom calls, there's a therapist that's there that watches the Zoom calls. I know this lady, and this lady has even told me she's noticed that. Okay, so why has no one reported it? Because when I report something to my caseworker, she thinks I'm crazy.
She's noticed what?
She's noticed that he's she used the word stern. That's not stern. Yelling at little children is not stern. Yelling is not stern. My 7-year-old's grandmother called me. She said, oh my God, Angel, I just got off a video call with them, and the man was yelling at the 5-year-old. And
saying what?
Just yelling. She said she couldn't understand. And she said that, yeah, she said that my 7-year-old turned the camera like this, like turned the camera. And she said she witnessed him grabbing her by the arm and pulling her. Now, I waited. I said, okay, I want to see with my own eyes what's going on. I already heard the yelling before. I've heard him yelling before. Okay, whatever. But I wanted my child to tell me something, because like I said, whenever I bring these things to my caseworker, she just believes I'm crazy. She's like, oh, this is a good foster home, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Just like the first one was, right? Oh, not to mention, when the first foster mom found out we were moving the children, the minute she found out, she called my caseworker and told her, come get the kids right now. This was in the middle of the night. Come get the kids right now, or I'm gonna have them outside.
What do you mean when you were moving them?
So I was harassing my caseworker and everybody to move my children to a new foster home when the abuse kept going. So finally, what I think truly moved them was the fact that the foster mom found out about it. Somebody called her, told her, not sure who. Apparently, I think it might have been the CASA agent. It might have been the CASA agent that actually called the foster mom and was just like, yeah, because we're moving the children, blah, blah, blah. Just regular conversation. Or it was the therapist. It was somebody the caseworker said. So then the lady, like I said, in the middle of the night, called my caseworker and said, come pick up these children right now. They'll be outside. So, I mean, she said, oh, the caseworker said, oh, I'll never use that foster parent again. She shouldn't even be a foster parent. Why is she still able to foster? She's still fostering. And my children, it's just bad. I mean, now, like I said, I waited until my children spoke up to me. My 7-year-old just told me the other day, he's very mean to us. He's very mean. So I'm waiting to see them in person. I'm praying that they just don't magically cancel my visit. I'm praying. I'm supposed to talk to them today at 6 p.m. When my 7-year-old said he's very mean to us, I told her I will talk to you in person. So that's why I'm afraid they might try to cancel my physical visit. That's why I'm wearing a mask. I'm just scared. I'm scared. They already don't like me because I harass them.
I get it. You don't have to explain.
Yeah,
somebody commented and asked, why is she wearing a mask? And I'm like, I don't think you understand how it is scary to put out our identity out there.
It is. It is. It's very scary. These people have so much power when they have your children. Like, you feel like you're nothing. Like, when these people have power over your children, when I tell you it's a power trip for them, it truly is. They dangle them in front of you. And they're just like, do everything we say or we're going to take them away. And then unfortunately, the horror stories I see is even if you do everything they say, they still take them away.
Yeah.
And 2 years for your case is very long, because they said after the first year they try to adopt them out.
Yes, they were trying to adopt my kids out.
I can't imagine. Really. I can't imagine. I mean, if they even said anything like that to me, I probably would freak out. I'd probably have a mental breakdown.
I thought I was going to.
I mean, it's very sad, And people have told me, oh, there's no way DFACS took your kids without ever letting you know. Yeah. No one called me. No one told me anything. No one even said I was under investigation. They just took them. They took them. And
They do that.
they took them, and I never knew. And like I said, what sucks the most is I feel like I could have had them back if the babysitter was being truthful and wasn't so scared that like this lady really asked me for money when they weren't even in her care anymore, acting like they were still with her. Like, it was that. And I guess now I did my testimony at first, right? I guess she felt some type of way. And that lady went up there and was like, I never received money, proved her wrong right there. Yes, you did, ma'am. Here's the documentation. Oh, she was never around. You're lying. Here's the photos. You know? And the judge still ruled in their favor, shockingly enough. And I'm very afraid. I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that I was so afraid that if they see this video, like, I'm kissing goodbye to my kids. I'm afraid to speak out because I'm afraid I'm gonna say goodbye to my kids. I'm scared to even contact this lady's supervisor because whenever I do, she seems angry about it. But it's like, ma'am, you're not doing your job, And I even mentioned that it took them a full year to give me a copy of my case plan. And she's like, oh, that's not true. You never asked me for it. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. On more than one occasion, I asked for my case plan. And her response was either go ask your attorney or just anything like that. And finally, she was like, she last Friday, she's like, do you have your case plan? I'm like, no, I don't have my case plan. I've been asking for it. She's like, oh, okay, and emailed it to me. And the case plan that she emailed to me isn't even an updated case plan. In fact, the names of my children aren't even correct. One line says something about Madeline. I don't know who a Madeline is.
Keep that. They had wrong names on my papers.
Yeah, and she told me she's gonna send me the updated one. Has never sent me the updated one at all.
Did you ask why the names were wrong in the first place?
I mean, I did, but I guess it got lost in the conversation of her just talking. Like, I don't know who a Madeline is. I don't know whose child that is. Why is it like that? But it's been like that. This case plan dates March 27th. And it's September. But that's the one they made me sign, the one that has the name Madeline on it. Who's Madeline? I don't have any idea.
Did you sign it?
Oh yeah, I signed it. I mean, I was sitting there bawling my eyes out, shaking, and they're just like, if you don't sign it, you're never gonna see them again. And I was like, oh my god, and I signed it, you know, freaking out. I signed it, not knowing, and my lawyer was like, hey, you'll get them back in 3 months, just sign this case plan. I was like, okay, I'll do whatever it takes to get my children back. And that was a year ago. So we've definitely been suffering. Unfortunately, you know, like I said, I've watched it destroy my children, and you know, and now we're having problems with this recent foster home, which I thought was going to be a good fit, but they're complaining about the man that's in there. Everyone is. The grandmother is. I am. The therapist has. I don't even think my caseworker has seen the children in a long time. So I don't know. I don't know what else to do. I feel like I've tried to do everything. I bought a program. I don't know if you ever heard of this program, but it's called like getmychildrenback.com. And it basically tells you like to sue DFACS, basically saying if you don't get my children back, you owe me $5,000 per child per day. And you have to serve the director, you serve the caseworker, you serve the supervisor, and they're never going to answer that. So by default, you win. Then you could take it to another court, and that court will order them to follow through. Either give her $5,000 per child per day, or give her child back.
Sure.
So, I wanted to do that program, but then they gave me hope. And every time I just start like, what's going on? Why this? Why that? Why this? Why that? Oh, don't worry. You're going to get them back. We're working on it. Don't worry. You're going to get them back. And then when they see I'm all calm and I have hope, then they just take it away from me. And when I'm ready to fight them and rally the troops, that's when they try to give me hope and calm me down, and you'll get them back. We're working on getting them back to you, and you'll get them back soon, and we'll start that ICPC. We'll start those transitional visits. Well, their excuse why they never started transitional visits is because we haven't been to court, and the courts are closed.
Even though they have the ability to do that, to go.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's the first time I ever heard. I didn't know that. So you're telling me they have the ability to give me transitional visits without the court? That's not what they tell me.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they don't tell me that. The Guardian at Litem don't care. I've put in reports to Georgia Advocate, Child Advocate.
Schoolwork then.
I think they're called like the Ombudsman or something.
Yeah.
I've contacted them more than once. My entire family contacted them more than one time. Nothing. No, I don't see any change. I don't see anything happening. Just recently, after a year, they started the ICPC for my 7-year-old to go to her grandmother because the father he didn't get approved. because I don't know. I think they tested his hair and he had weed from months ago or something. Like, okay, weed, and I'm sorry, I just have nothing against weed, but it's like I don't think weed is grounds for denial for a child, because you don't know how well not in a medical marijuana state, you know. Which is another scary thing. I have a medical marijuana card, but I stopped smoking because of this.
Right.
And I wasn't even smoking. I'm sorry. I wasn't even smoking. I was taking pills because I had severe from accidents. So I was taking THC pills, but they've never drug tested me because why? Why would you guys drug test me? But yeah, but so I stopped taking them. So I live with pain every day of my life, trying to see if they drug test me. Like, not trying to see, but I'm okay with it. I could give up something for my children. That's nothing, you know?
Right.
Just like I told them, I'll move to Georgia if you want me to. And they were like, oh, you don't have to. It's okay. And then now they're telling me, oh, well, if you would have came to Georgia, or if you lived in Georgia, you would have got them back sooner. Well, why didn't you guys tell me that when you were telling me that I didn't have to move to Georgia? So yeah, I'm 100% positive I'm missing a lot of things.
Well, we can always do an updated video.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to see if my attorney will do anything. I'm pushing her to file for your reunification, like right now. Someone even mentioned suing DFACS, becoming the plaintiff, and suing DFACS with an emergency relief or something like that. And I could file that with my clerk of courts, but the courts aren't open. But it's like when I talk to the attorney, I'm like, we gotta file for a reunification right now. I don't know if she even understands it. She just told me when I was on the phone with her, she told me that private attorneys it's no point to hire a private attorney. But from what I can, that's what my court appointed attorney told me. She said it's no point to hire a private attorney because these courts aren't run by something. They're not like circuit court, they're DFACS court. And basically the judge works for DFACS. So the judge is always going to go with what DFACS says, basically. Which I'm praying that when we get into court, my attorney will speak up and say, hey, she's done everything. She needs to have the girls back. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm hoping the judge will just, because I know it's a long shot that the judge will go with me, just for the simple fact that he's getting a paycheck from DFACS. Because I was finding out he's not even a real judge. He just works for them. It's just, I'm finding out a bunch of stuff. And yeah, I am going crazy. I'm not going crazy literally, but they are forcing me to be a chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah.
They are forcing it.
Yes. It's like they create this mess and then wonder why you're acting the way that you are and sit back and watch.
Yeah, and the worst thing I'm having is like, you know, when I speak about all the abuse to my caseworker and I'm just like, this isn't right. Do you know what her answer is? Children are resilient. Oh, children are resilient. They're going to be okay. So you're telling me that this is okay? You're telling me that abuse is okay? because
Don't worry, they'll forget about it.
they'll forget about it.
Not true, by the way. My kids suffer and struggle every day.
And I'm just listening to her like, oh, children are resilient, huh? She's like, I understand what you're going through. I'm like, oh, really? So your child was in foster care. Your child was ripped from your hands for no reason in foster care, right? For a year straight, right? Oh, no, but you shouldn't say that because you don't know if I was in the system. And I was like, well, were you in the system? Oh, no, but okay then. I do not try to empathize with me when you have no idea what I'm going through.
Yep. I had social workers trying to empathize with me. They didn't even have kids.
Oh my God, how could you do that?
Yeah.
I've tried my best to find my supervisor. I've tried my best to find something on my caseworker. They don't have any social medias. I'm very distraught. I've wanted revenge, but I haven't acted on it because how can you know how I feel if you've never had a CPS worker come and, well, I've never had it happen, actually. I've never had a CPS worker ever try to investigate me ever. So this is the first time I've ever dealt with it. But how would you feel if they come knocking on your door? You know? So I've struggled with that, but I'm such a nice person, you know. The way my caseworker, she has told me she believes in corporal punishment. So that sent off red flags to me. And I was like, my caseworker, she said she's okay with that. I mean, it's not illegal to do corporate punishment, but still, you know, I don't. Now,
I think it's okay for somebody else doing it to your kid.
Right. And, you know, I don't know. Something she says kind of scares me that she has a kid. And I'm like, oh man, lady, like the things you tell me, maybe I should call defects on you. But I'm so broken by this system that I decided it's not even worth putting her through that. Can you imagine being a social worker and getting CPS called on you?
I've interviewed a mom who was a social worker and CPS removed her kids.
Like, I mean, I'm just in total. I mean, I don't know why they act like this. And my caseworker's not doing her job. She should have told me a year ago I need a psychological exam. She never once mentioned it. Her supervisor mentioned it.
Nothing about your case is okay.
I know. And at first, they made me feel like I was a horrible mom. I just left my children with this lady who beat my 5-year-old, and my caseworker says, oh, I hope you learned your lesson. I learned more than a lesson, ma'am. Me and my children are gonna have to be in therapy the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
And even then, my children are so tired of these people. I don't even know if they're gonna do well in therapy when I get them back because they're just so ready to come home. They know what their room looks like, you know. They've seen it. They're ready. You know. They're letting my 7-year-old does like these. They're letting my 7-year-old watch like Megan Thee Stallion, and she's doing like. Megan Thee Stallion is a rapper equivalent to like Cardi B, just nasty, okay? And there's a famous dance to it, and it's like the song goes, I'm a savage, yeah, ratchet, nasty, blah blah blah. And I watched my daughter dance to that, and the therapist was just laughing. Ah, that's so cute. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not okay with that. It's not. and now my daughters, they love to dance, they love to sing, and she loves to do gymnastics. But what I'm not okay with is they're watching something that's not right. That's not right. That dance is nasty. That dance is adult. That dance is like Cuties. The Netflix, how they had those poor children humping the ground and shaking their butt. I mean, did you see those children's faces?
No.
They look so uncomfortable.
What is it?
Cuties on Netflix. I mean, just child pornography to the max, man. I mean, just disgusting. They have them dressed in half tops.
How
Yeah.
old are they?
Girl, you need to watch it. It is one of the most pedophilic things I've ever probably seen. And the poor girls, man, they look so uncomfortable. You got to imagine a filming crew with a bunch of grown men letting this go on. You know?
Is it, how do I spell it?
Cuties.
On Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Now, I canceled my Netflix.
I have Netflix and I said no more.
I canceled my Netflix due to that. I mean, it was just disgusting. And, you know, they let my children watch YouTube, which I don't allow because YouTube is disgusting. And they let my daughter learn this sexual dance. She's only 7, and it's like everybody's okay with it. Like, she's supposed to be shaking her butt. Like, no, that's not okay. That's not okay.
I wonder if they took it down. I see it on.
Yeah, they haven't took it down yet. You know, and they're allowing my daughter to play on TikTok. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, I'm not okay with this. Like, this is disgusting. And she see my daughter knows me. She knows I don't allow anything like that. So she was afraid to show me her new dance. But soon as she showed me, I was like, oh, no. Like, that's not appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not okay with that, you know?
These girls on the show, I can't find it on Netflix, but on Google it comes up. They're 11.
It's disgusting. Let me see. I just seen it. I was just watching Netflix. I could still watch it on mine. Are you on the child version?
No. But look.
Oh, wow. It's not showing up anymore?
Uh-uh.
Shocking. Huh. It's number 3 for me. It's number 3 on Netflix.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's number 3 for me on Netflix.
That's crazy.
A lot of people. It's all over Facebook. You know, I got very desperate, so I started adding a bunch of groups on Facebook, trying to see what can I do, who can I talk to. You know, people are telling me talk to senators, but I think somehow my phone is blackballed because, like, whenever I try to find information on a Georgia senator, it's like nothing shows up.
Can you get me a spoon? Please?
I've reached out to countless attorneys. They listened to my story and they say there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. I want you to, you know, if you have questions, like what can you do, call on our radio show because it's with my attorney and he gives free advice.
Okay.
So it's on Saturday night and I co-host with him. I can give you the number.
Okay, what is it?
1-800
Uh-huh.
222
Uh-huh.
5222.
Okay, and when is it?
Saturday nights. And it's 7:00 p.m. our time.
7 p.m. Cali time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. And unfortunately, I'm not as smart as a lot of these mothers are. I don't understand law. When I read it, my brain just
Shuts down.
I don't understand paperwork. I get overwhelmed. It's very hard for me. You know, I'm not really a but one thing I will say is I see a lot of laws like on if you go on SSA Social Security Association.gov,
Yeah.
there's something that specifically says that I can read that too. I don't know if you know about it, but they're saying that there's amendments to it now,
Okay.
basically saying I guess that they're allowed to do it, but on there it says that I can read it to you. It's on the website. I mean, it's on the government website. Like, how much more of the law are they breaking than that? You know, um, it says details, photos. I sent a photo of it on SSA.gov on their statutes. Uh, okay. Here it is. On title, I don't know how to read numeral numbers, but on title, it's loading. Oh, come on, computer. Okay, so on Title XI, under General Provisions, it says that nothing in this act shall be construed as authorizing any federal official, agent, or representative in carrying out any of the provisions of this act to take charge of any child over the ejection of either of the parents of such child or of the person standing in local parentis to such child. So here's something in our Social Security Act that says the government can't take control of my child. And yet here we are. Here is a lot of us.
Right.
You know? Then when I said that to an attorney, he said, I think there's amendments to that. So what? They amended the right to take our child? I'm not comprehending what I'm not comprehending why or what or who, you know, and I have yeah, it's bad. It's bad, you know. My child had a rash for a very long time. They never brought her to the doctor. And conveniently enough, when they brought her to the doctor said, oh, this rash could have showed up overnight. No, the doctor did not say that. No, that rash was on her behind, and she's 7 years old.
Why? What's the rash from?
I don't know. I asked my daughter. She said she doesn't know. It's on her. It was on her butt cheek, her entire butt cheek.
What do you think?
I think something's happening, but my child's being coached.
What do you think is happening?
I don't know. They told me that my child is showing sexual behaviors. I think somehow, some way, she was being touched inappropriately by maybe another child in foster care who was in the home, or by maybe one of the foster parents. Because why would she develop this gigantic rash on her behind at 7 years old? My child has never had a rash. In fact, never.
Yeah.
I'm very afraid for them.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine fighting another year to get them back. I can't imagine. So on the 23rd, I take my psychological exam, and my my caseworker told me to wait 2 months, at least do 2 months, which is 8 therapy sessions, and she'll get the review and then turn that into ICPC.
When's your next court hearing?
I don't have one. Court hasn't been open since COVID, and I haven't had a court date since before June. And yeah, like I said, I believe the law is that I'm supposed to have one every 6 months, but that hasn't happened. But it's okay because it's COVID, so they could do whatever they want because it's COVID and the court's closed and blah blah blah. That's what I'm getting from this situation.
On Saturday night, I want you to ask the attorney if the social worker has the ability to change your visitation.
Oh no, yeah. I found that out. They are, but she won't give me unsupervised. She won't let the children sleep over with me at my hotel. That's her. It's all her. Now, as far as the transitional visits, that to me is something different because that's them leaving my child with me for a month unattended, right? So I can understand if they're weary about that because no one has came and looked at my home, you know? No one has, no one came and looked at my home. So that's understandable. But why can't I have alone time with my child? And I know for a fact she can do that. She could say, just have the therapist drop them off. That's something that's less, and why hasn't she done that? Why hasn't she allowed me to see my children without a therapist? It's like my children don't want to talk around these people. My child barely wanted to tell me that the man was being mean to her. She's been in this home for months now, and I'm just now hearing her say that. And she whispered it. She went up real close and she was like, "Mommy, the man is very mean." Whispered it as low as she could get it. So the foster parent didn't hear, but the foster parent still heard her. And she immediately was like, and then the lady came over. She's like, no, he's not mean. He's not mean. Why? You're leading my child on. If she's saying he's being mean, and that's period. And that's what it is. He's being mean. You can't tell a child someone isn't being mean.
Make them feel like they don't have
a voice, right? Yeah. Exactly. If she tells me, "Mommy, I'm being touched," and someone comes in and they're like, "You're not being touched. Whatever you think's going on, it isn't what you think it is. You're not being touched." You're confusing that child into thinking that, okay, so them touching my pee-pee is okay, or okay, you're telling me that even though I'm telling her that person's being mean, you're saying that person isn't being mean. You're making them brainwashed into believing, okay, maybe that person isn't, that's not the meaning of mean. That's not what mean is, right?
Yeah, what you're saying is 100% correct.
So I'm gonna definitely call in
Saturday.
I just don't know. I want to do something.
Fine.
I want to do something. They denied my 5-year-old's grandmother because I guess the man she was dating was at work. He works offshore, so he couldn't do the background check and the drug test like immediately, so they denied her. I guess they're gonna retry, but they didn't put these ICPCs in for like a year, which I believe they should have placed them with family immediately. I mean, everyone else's kid gets placed with family immediately, but because they weren't in Georgia, and we've never had a case where the parents in another state, that doesn't even sound right. You're gonna tell me
There's a lot like that.
Exactly. You're going to tell me that you've never had a case where somebody's parent was out of state, somebody's grandparents were out of state. You've never had a case like that? That doesn't make any sense. And they refused to transfer the case from the beginning. They refused. And then that's when I started learning how they started making money at a certain point, and they magically, my 7-year-old has ADHD now. No, I just believe my 7-year-old doesn't want to be with you people, and she's tired of you people. And she tells me every time she wants to come home, and she doesn't feel like she could talk to me. And the problem is if I try to say, hey baby, what's going on? I'm leading my child. And they could cut my visits doing that. You know, they say, oh, you know, children are going to blurt it out. They're going to tell you if something's wrong. Not if they're being coached that something isn't wrong. So I'm hoping that, you know, I want them to reform. I would love to start like a class action with everyone, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my story out there. I contacted 11 Alive. If you look up 11 Alive, they actually just did recently a video of this mother who's been fighting the same exact county DFACS, the same one I'm fighting, for 5 years to get her children back. She said exactly what I said. I never received a case plan. She said she never received a case plan. She said that they never exactly told her what to do. They just let her visit with her children. I'm sorry, what?
It's a news channel.
Yeah, 11alive.com. And it's the same exact county. It's the same place that did the story on the 800 disciplined.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
Yeah. So it's the same county. It's this very county that is doing this to all these people. I'm not the only one in the same. Now, it's one thing to be messed up DFACs all over a state, but it's this one county that is doing this. And I need them to stop. I need them to stop ruining people's lives. Like, it's not, like, this lady has been working with them for 5 years. Her children should have been adopted out. Why haven't her children returned home yet? Why haven't they tried to adopt them out or return home? It's not making any sense. So you got 800.
Sorry, my daughter has something in her eye.
800 DFACS workers. That's my county, the same county I'm fighting. And then you got, I've been trying to contact them as well to post my story. You got this lady, this poor lady right here. She's making a private conversation public. Mother makes, this is a 5 years. 5 years she's been trying to get her babies back. And DFACS never gave her a case plan like they did me. They never told her what she needs to do to get to be done. They let this go on 5 years. They never adopted her children out, and yet they're still 5 years later, still in DFACS foster care, not with the mother. They're waiting for a Gwinnett County Court judge to decide what role they played in their oldest son and what will happen next to their 2 children. The youngest taken as an infant from her mother's arms. Every time I say bye to my kids, that really hurts, and I can tell it's hurting them.
Yeah, it does.
Can you believe 5 years? I mean, 2 years. I mean, that's very damaging, but 5 years. And I mean,
well, now you have your story. You should recorded I'll send you a copy, and you should send it to the news.
Oh, I've tried contacting several news stations. They tell me that they can't help me. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. Like, so
Well,
far,
now
you're the only
you,
one who's ever like publicly listened to me.
you should blow this up.
I don't know how. That's the
Well,
problem.
share it on your page, tag the news people, and do it in a way that is like, hey, I'm calling you out. You know what I mean? Like, watch this. Show people, if you're calling them out in public, maybe they'll listen.
That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid if it gets out and DFAC sees it, they'll totally cut me off of my children. And that's the worst part, you know.
No.
It's scary because once I start pushing back, they're gonna start pushing back. They're gonna start cutting my visitations.
Yeah, it gets worse.
It gets worse. It gets worse. And I mean, it's very scary for me to do this, you know. So I mean, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna post it on my page. I'm gonna add everyone to it. I'm just afraid of the repercussions of them finding out.
Trust me, this puts fear in my life doing this. I'm scared to death every day.
Well, at least you know your rights now. Like, it's just, and the courts are corrupt. The judge signs off for nothing, for warrants. It's like, and then most of the time they don't even have a warrant to come get your children.
Right.
So I don't, you know, another thing is I don't even think they had a warrant to take my children from the babysitter's home. I think they just took them. No one ever told me anything about a warrant. So I I guess I'm just tired of it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Good.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show everyone.
Well, let's get an update from you soon and let me know how it's going.
The next update will be in 2 months when I'm gonna see if my caseworker actually submits the review from the therapist to ICPC to get it rolling.
All right.
'Cause that's what she said she'll do. So I will let everyone know. And
All
thank
right.
you for listening to me.
Of course. I'm sorry you're going through this.
I'm sorry you went through it.
And I
Hopefully I
hope,
get a good ending like you.
yeah, and I hope that this helps you, you know?
Yeah, I hope it helps and not hurt my children.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.